This is a study of political optimism in Yemen for POL242, November 2012. The concept that will be evaluated is the level of political optimism in the state of Yemen. Our research question is, what factors influence a person's level of political optimism in Yemen? In the context of this study, political optimism will be defined as a citizen's outlook on the overall state of the nation. This study is guided by the rationale that citizens are content with their socio-economic condition in their state are more likely to be politically optimistic. It is interesting to examine these potential contributing factors to the Arab Spring because an ongoing world event. The dataset that will be utilized for this analysis is the Arab Barometer 2007 dataset. Furthermore, we selected three variables, independent variables, to apply to our dependent variable. Based on the background research, we selected three independent variables that we thought would impact political optimism in Yemen. For example, we selected unemployment because it is particularly important in Arab countries where unemployment contributes to civil unrest. The creation of the index was a relatively straightforward process. There were questions in the questionnaire that were directly relevant to the content of the index. The index is strong, with 9 variables that indicate the desired concept. It was not necessary to remove any variables because they all contributed to the high alpha score of 8961, which was higher than the threshold value of 0.6 required for a plausible claim to significance, and close to an ideal value of 1, indicating a high probability that the variable indicates a common concept, which we believe indicates a citizen's outlook on the state of Yemen. Furthermore, all the indicators are already formatted in a similar way, which made recoding relatively straightforward. Also, after performing a frequency variation on the recoded index, it became apparent that the index had a positive skew that is relatively significant. Although there is a positive skew, the mean, 1.833, is relatively close to the median, which is 2, which indicates that the distribution is normal enough to use in an index.
We then selected 3 independent variables to cross-tabulate with our index. The first independent variable is employment status. This is a nominal value. We hypothesize that those who are employed will be more politically optimistic. Our second independent variable is education level. This is an ordinal variable. We hypothesize that those with higher levels of education will be more politically optimistic. Our third independent variable is an anti-American sentiment. This is a nominal value. We hypothesize that those who believe Western influences harmed Yemen will be less politically optimistic. When employment status is cross-tabulated with our political optimism index, some interesting results reveal themselves. We discover a measure of association discerned through Kramer's V to be 0.14173. Through chi-square, we found a measure of significance of 0.00419. An analysis of variation calculation gave us an F probability of 0.0833. A low measure of association suggests a weak positive relationship between political optimism and employment status. The very low chi-square score indicates high significance, suggesting the data was very representative of the population. The moderately high F probability score reflects a moderately high variance. This suggests that there is a somewhat likely chance that any mean differences in ideology are due to sampling error. We then compared education level and cross-tabulation against our political optimism index. We discovered a measure of association, this time through tau b, to be 0.05596. Through chi-square, we found a measure of significance of 0.03027. An analysis of variance calculation gave us an F probability of 0.0076. We learned that our hypothesis was correct, but that the relationship between the two variables was relatively weak. A low measure of association suggests a weak positive relationship between political optimism and education. The low chi-square indicates moderately high significance, suggesting that the data was likely representative of the population. The extremely low F probability score reflects an extremely low variance. This suggests that there is a very low chance that any relationships are due to sampling error. The chef's score demonstrated variation across means of the three levels of education. Our final comparison was anti-Western sentiment, cross-tabulated against our political optimism index. We discovered a measure of association, once again through Kramer's V, as we are working with a nominal value to be 0.05596. Through working with chi-square, we found a measure of significance of 0.0529. An analysis of variation calculation gave us a comparatively high F probability of 0.0800. A low measurement of association with Kramer's V suggests a weak relationship between political optimism and anti-Western sentiment, but does not indicate a direction. The very low chi-square score indicates high significance, suggesting that the data was very representative of the population. The moderately high F probability score reflects a moderately high variance. This suggests that there is a moderately likely chance that any mean differences in ideology are due to sampling error.
In conclusion, we have realized that there is an indication that employment status, education level, and anti-American sentiment influence Yemeni's political optimism. However, this relationship is quite weak, as this is proven through low positive measures of association. The conclusion can therefore be drawn that although these may be contributing factors to a lack of political optimism and ultimately civil unrest, they are only a small part of what affects political optimism and what might have caused the Arab Spring. This is our syntax.